In this video I explain how the convergence setting in IL-2 Great Battles works and how to find a good setting for different gun calibers and weapon configurations. In the loadout screen you will find an option called Convergence. I get very often the question, what's a good one or which one I use? And there is a lot of confusion around. I hope to clear that up with this one. First, when talking about convergence, you have to think about two components, the horizontal and vertical aspect of convergence. First, let's discuss the horizontal aspects, which affects mostly wing armament. To maximize the firepower of an aircraft, wing guns are tilted inwards so that the bullet streams of all installed guns are converging at a set distance in front of the aircraft. That's the point with the highest concentrated firepower. A close convergence, like 100 meters, has the advantage that the entire gun package hits directly in front of your nose, and that is really nice in those super close sneak up attacks. But as soon as you are trying to hit anything beyond, let's say, 150 or 200 meters, you will notice that your gun effectiveness will decrease rapidly. The reason for this is that the guns have to be tilted in a very steep angle in front of you to make that close convergence happen. But this also means that the bullet streams of each guns are also separating behind the point of convergence quite extremely. That effect is stronger the further the guns are apart from wing to wing, and the closer the point of convergence is chosen. Just compare, for example, the Tempest unsynchronized Hispanos, which are firing outside of the huge propeller arc of the aircraft, and the Focke-Wulf 190's synchronized 20mm cannons in the very wing route. The steep angle of the bullet stream means a very high spread further away on the Tempest, while the Focke-Wulf 190's bullet stream has a much more shallow angle and therefore stay more effective at longer ranges. A convergence of, let's say, 400 meters is good to hit stuff further away, but you will notice that when you are closer to the target, like really close, that you don't get all guns on target anymore, and even at the convergence the hit rate is also reduced due to weapon spread. Also, at medium ranges in between, you often hit the left and the right wing of the target and not the fuselage anymore. Good pilots are able to counter that somewhat by aiming at the wing instead of the dead center of the enemy aircraft, that at least the armament of one wing is aimed at the fuselage of the enemy. Of course, that means that not all firepower is on the target anymore, but that is often better than just to hit nothing. Another factor is the vertical component. The convergence setting is also affecting at which distance the bullets will cross the gun sight in the vertical. This not only affects the wing armament, but of course nose mounted armament as well. And this is a key factor how your sight picture has to be to actually hit your target. Let me start by explaining this for wing armament first. Let's say you fly the P-51 and your 650 caliber bullets are set to converge at 250 meters. In this case, the guns are not only set to converge horizontally, but also vertically. They are angled a little bit upwards so that they fly through the sight line of the pilot and through the pipper right at 250 meters. From the pilot's perspective, that means that the bullets hit low when the pilot's aircraft is closer to the target. The bullets are right on target at 250 meters and hit low when the enemy aircraft is further away. On some planes, the projectiles are traveling twice through the sightline of the pilot, prominently on the LA-5 and the BF-109's cannons. The cannons are installed just below the nose and are firing quite steeply up when far convergence is chosen. For example, should you select a convergence of 400 meters, that means that the projectiles are crossing the pilot's line of sight at roughly 200 meters and again at 400 meters. That means if the target is close, you can still aim at the targets and the cannons will hit. At medium range the bullets hit high and of course coming back down at the set convergence. So that are the basics. There are of course some things to consider. For example, mixed armaments like on the P-39. Not only does the aircraft have wing, nose and cowling armament, no, but also all guns have different calibers with very different ballistic curves and velocities. The rifle calibers in the wings are fast, but start out very low in reference to the pilot's line of sight and also to the 50 cals and the cannon. The cannon shells are very slow and are firing up at a rather high angle and the 50 cals are firing quite flat, but at a much higher velocity than, for example, the cannon again. So this makes things really complicated, and you have to think about that when setting up a convergence and also when firing your guns. Also, all the convergence fuss is only really accurate when flying level. Your guns will hit considerably higher when shooting straight up into the air, for example, since the gravity is acting from an entire different direction. So when selecting a gun convergence, you should keep in mind which kind of aircraft you are flying and what your fighting style is and what's important to you personally. How do you want to hit your enemies? I will now give you some recommendations you can follow or you can decide for yourself. I know many good pilots who use totally different approaches, so there is not one correct way. But I usually use 400 meters for aircraft with centerline armament, like on the Bf-109, LA-5 and any other aircraft with a similar armament. The reasoning is that the cannons on those aircraft get a nice upwards arc between 200 and 400 meters. That means that hitting aircraft in deflection shots is a bit more easy, since you can see more of your adversary when pulling lead. On many other ranges, like 200 meters, which is a typical range for sneak up attacks, your projectiles are hitting 0 as well. On aircraft with wing armament I use between 250 and 300 meters. I use 250 meters when I need the most concentrated firepower right in front of my aircraft, with guns like the American 50 cals, for example. Only a couple of hits of the 50 cal aren't killing aircraft quickly usually. You need a good hit to make sure that an aircraft goes down. If I would use 400 meters, for example, the firepower of the 50 cal would be concentrating at a point where the 50 cal has lost a lot of its kinetic energy needed to go through the entire enemy aircraft, and hitting enemies close by is less effective. However, I don't want to use a very close convergence like 100 meters because I want to be more effective at longer ranges. So 250 meters it is. Should I need to hit an enemy close by, I aim for the wings to hit the fuselage with at least one gun package of one wing. I use 300 meters with cannon armed wings like the Spitfire or the Tempest. The cannons are much more powerful than 50 cals and a few hits are usually already quite impactful. So I add a few meters to the convergence in comparison to the 50 cals to get a tighter bullet spread over a larger variety of distances. But that's about it. Let me know what you think a good convergence is and what you use in game if you play the game. I hopefully see you in the next one.